Okay, now we're getting started here on stocks, and this is kind of the just the basics on how you make money and different ways to make money and things like that. So for the most part, it's just basic stock notes and be pretty short and sweet. All right, stock, first of all, is ownership in a company. If you own one share of stock in Walmart, you own approximately 1/4 billionths of the company. That's right, there's over 4 billion shares of Walmart in the world. So if you own one share of Walmart, you own 1/4 billionths of the company. And then there's lots of different places where you can get financial information. Usually throughout the whole class and everything, I will tend to use Yahoo Finance. And by this point, you probably have already seen that. If not, you soon will. All right, there's two ways to make money with stocks. And this first slide or two slides is dedicated to one of the two ways. First is buy low, sell high, and this is the way that most people think of making money with stocks. You buy something for $3 and you sell it for $4. You buy something for $8 and you sell it for $10. That is what we call buy low, sell high, or capital gains. Now you do have to pay taxes on that. If you've owned the stock for longer than a year, you will pay 15% tax on the profits of any stock that you purchase. Now, if you lose money, you get to deduct that on your taxes, and we'll talk more about that when it comes to taxes here in the next few weeks. If you hold it for less than that year, you usually are going to pay a little bit higher tax on that. But when a company turns a profit, there are three things that the corporation can do with that money. One, they can save the profits. They can stick it in savings to use that later on for business purposes. Maybe they're going to build a factory later. Maybe they're going to expand production later. Or maybe they don't know what they want to do. They just want to hang on to the profits. So that's one thing they can do. The second thing they can do is immediately reinvest the business into the business. They can build that factory now. They can hire more workers now. Who knows what? And then the third thing they can do is they can turn around and give that money back to the shareholders. After all, they are owners. And the decisions on what's done with these three, between these three, is the CEO can make a recommendation, but ultimately it's what we call the board of directors that makes that decision. The board of directors is typically an elected board that is advised to guide the CEO on certain policy and decisions and so forth. Think of them much like our school board. They show up for a meeting once or twice a month, and that's what a board would do for a major corporation typically. As an example, a few years ago, this wasn't last year, General Motors paid $1 dividend, right? And the stock price was $32. So we would say that that's a 3% dividend because $1 of 32 is approximately 3%. So a dividend is when they return the profit back to the owners. If you're looking for a conservative stock, you want to look for one that pays dividends. One, it means they're making money. At two, it's typically a sign of some sort of stability. Now, after this occurred, GM did file for bankruptcy and the government bailed them out. All right. The second way, which I just talked about, is called a dividend. All right. If we go back a slide, right here, right? They may give some of it to its owners, and when they do that, that's called a dividend. So that is the second way that a person can make money is through dividends. Typically, on dividends, you have to pay a 15% tax. There are some tax law changes coming up that are being discussed and possibly changed. So that may have changed from the taping of this video, but typically it's 15%. And then one of the big debatable items is a corporation also has to pay taxes. So if you own stock in McDonald's, and let's say McDonald's makes a profit, well, McDonald's has to pay a tax on that profit. And then what's left over, they pay to its shareholders in the form of a dividend. That's called a dividend check. And then you would have to pay taxes on that again. Well, the Republicans typically have a big problem with this. They would call that double taxation. You're taxing the same dollar twice. Democrats tend to think that is perfectly fine. It's two separate entities, and taxing that twice is perfectly acceptable.